1536 was a traumatic time all round. Not only had I lost my beloved mother in January, the king's concubine Anne Boleyn was executed for treason in May, and her brat Elizabeth removed from the succession, like me. I was ecstatic. The king had finally come to his senses, and although too late for my mother, the country could be saved from this slide into heresy and return to the true church, to Rome. Imagine my horror when the king's new minister, Thomas Cromwell, continued his suppression of the monasteries and required all to agree to the oath of supremacy, naming my father as the head of the church in England. I refused. How could I deny my faith? My mother's faith? My God? Father had remarried, this time to Jane Seymour, a gentle, quiet lady who was determined to reconcile father to his children. My illegitimate brother, Fitzroy, had died, leaving just us girls, and as Elizabeth was now stripped of her title, we were both exiled from court and our father. I sent a letter to father, congratulating him on his marriage and asking permission to wait upon the new queen. I told him that I would submit to his authority, but as far as God and my conscience permitted. This was not accepted. I had to submit totally. I was sent counsellors, nobles, all trying to persuade me to accept my father as head of the church. I also had to agree to deny the Pope and his authority, accept my parents' marriage as unlawful, and agree to my own illegitimacy. I could not do it. I could not betray my mother and my beliefs. I was bullied, threatened, even cajoled by Cromwell and father's ministers. I tried to hold firm, to stand up to my father, but I was worn down. Chapuis persuaded me that my very life was in danger and I should submit. I signed the Articles of Submission and even wrote a letter of thanks to Cromwell for saving me, but I was broken. It brought results, though. I was invited back to court, granted my own household, even had my own friends back into my service. I was given palaces like Hatfield, Hunsdon, Bewley and Richmond to live in when not at court. I bought fine clothes, gambled, gave to charity, the life of a noble lady. In 1537, Queen Jane gave birth to my brother, Prince Edward. The country erupted with joy. My father was overjoyed, finally, an heir for the country. This, however, was soon cut short by the death of the Queen. I was made godmother to the prince, and then I was the chief mourner at Jane's funeral. Father went into seclusion, but life at court resumed. Duke Philip of Bavaria asked for my hand, but he was a Lutheran. I could not countenance it. Cromwell was still keen for an alliance with the German states against France and the Emperor, though. So he had the Duke of Cleve's sister, Anne, painted for the king to see. He liked the look of her, so she was dispatched to England as the next queen. But sadly, in person, my father found her lacking. And although in the beginning I agreed, later we got on famously. But she agreed to an annulment, the wise lady, and a generous settlement was given her, and she lived the rest of her life in England. My sometime friend Cromwell fell from favour over this and was executed. The king married again quickly, a former maid of Anne's, Catherine Howard. We were similar in age, but not in temperament. She was a flighty, frivolous girl, too fond of pleasure. I was at court at father's behest, but I did not enjoy it. My stay was made worse by the execution of my former governess, Lady Margaret Pole, on the pretext of a Catholic plot, but in reality a way to get at her son, Cardinal Reginald Pole. Sadly, Queen Catherine was also executed the following year for infidelity. The court was now without a queen, so I acted as hostess for my father. In 1543, father married another Catherine, Catherine Parr, a widow and my friend. She had been a great favourite of my mother, named for her, in fact. We studied Latin together and became close. She persuaded father to restore Elizabeth and I to the succession. We became a proper family, and I stayed at court as part of the Queen's household, seeing my sister and my brother frequently, spoiling them with love and little gifts. I had always loved children, hoping one day to become a mother myself.